So thank you, judges, for being here and giving your time. Everyone that's attending, thank you for being here. We're looking forward to this program, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So please welcome Phelps High School to the stage.
Okay, now you understand, you got 15, up to 15 minutes, okay? And then we're going to do the Q&A with the judges, got your presentation, and then go into your model, okay? And there we go already. Everybody ready? Okay. Now, and here's your timekeeper. Miss Allen here. You know, there's a 5-minute sign, and then 1 minute, okay? Y'all done this before. Just place it up, and if you go so far, you get to 1 minute, and you get to 1 minute, you just look at me, you give me that look, I don't know, it shuts you all up. So. But anyway, that's the way it works. Any questions? Where y'all start? Okay, you're good.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gina Fletcher. This is Caleb Dotson, Ryan Charles, Mackenzie Lester, and Jordan Blankenship, and we are the Phelps High School ECLRP team. Our business this year is Cove Field's First Response Ambulance Service. If you're from out of town, we would like to welcome you to the largest county in Kentucky. Not only is it the largest county in Kentucky, but many consider it the largest county east of the Mississippi River. To put this in perspective for you, you are now in western Pike County. We live 45 minutes east, and the county still continues. In fact, a few miles past our high school, you can put 1 foot in Kentucky, 1 foot in Virginia, and with a good throwing arm, you can throw a rock across the river into West Virginia. Now, we love our community. It's beautiful and has some of the best people you will ever meet. But it comes with some problems, one being the fact that our ambulance service is just a few miles from where you are sitting today. The average response time for Phelps and surrounding communities is about 45 minutes, and that's on good conditions. This is compared to the national average of 15 minutes for rural communities. Now imagine if you or your family member were in a life or death emergency and you had to wait 15 minutes at least for an ambulance to even get to you. This, combined with personal experiences, is exactly why we chose this for our business. We need help. Our goal is to provide a quality, dependable ambulance service for the residents of eastern Pike County with the goal of cutting wait time in half. To achieve SOAR goal number 4, healthy communities, you need to reach out into the rural communities of Appalachia where the need is greatest. When you grow up 30 miles from Walmart, you start to understand the importance of distance. And we love Pikeville, but eastern Kentucky does not stop there. Our site will be located on McCoy Elkhorn Mine 9A. Now, before we go any further, we want to dedicate our presentation to the founder, former owner, Jim Dotson. We met with him one evening, and the amount of help he provided was just amazing. If y'all know any retired coal miners, you know they can out-talk a radio. So he was just amazing. And this is where our site will be located. It runs right across Route 632. Our building will be located right in the middle of that little circle there. Nothing needs done to the property other than a good power wash and a good leaf blow to it. This was a deep mine that ran for 13 years. It began operations in March of 1987, and it ran through December to 1999. This is a former sticker that was on the mining hats. McCoy Elkhorn mined metallurgical coal, and it was about 1 inch in diameter. According to Randall Taylor, who was the COO, they ran about 2,000 clean tons of metallurgical coal at about $30 to $31 per clean ton. Now, in today's economy, that would be about $100 to $115 per clean ton. After it was mined, it was sent to the FM Burke cleaning plant, and then it was transported on CSX train, about a 100-unit train, to Zug Island, which is located on Lake Erie, where it was used for steel production. The mine employed about 40 to 50 men at $20.50 an hour, and the mine management made about $95,000 a year. And they paid about 4.5% of co-service tax. And we want to point out the pictures here. We reached out to our community, and they were great in sending back pictures. These were from miners and miner families. And we want to point out again Jim Dotson about how amazing he was. This mine was recognized for many things, and he gave us his personal awards and recognitions to show you all today that this mine received. It received, just had good standings all around. He said it was his favorite mine that he owned. And the community impact, when we found out what and all he done, it completely humbled us. To begin, he helped he donated $500,000 to help establish water lines in Kentucky, or in the Phelps area. Before this, there wasn't any, and he challenged other mines to pitch in and help. So he improved the standard of living for Phelps. This was from a newspaper that we had. He'd done a major donation by McCoy Elkhorn and other co-contributors. They purchased $40,000 worth of rescue equipment and a $9,000 truck. And he was just amazing in this whole thing. The school impact, the mine donated money for the school marquee. This still stands today, and it looks brand new. He also donated money to the sports teams, not only in Phelps, but all over Pike County. He kept the schools looking amazing. This is the one that really got us. I mean, if you know kids, you know the playground is the where to be. But you know that they're definitely not cheap. The mines actually donated money to buy the Johns Creek Elementary School playground and the Phelps Elementary School playground, but it was kept anonymous. Our coach nor us had no idea until our meeting with him when he told us, and it was just, they didn't tell.
Now for our environmental review. This is some of the wildlife that may be seen near our site, and from bobcats to bears. We like to call it our own wild kingdom. Our team interviewed Mr. Harley Weaver, a wildlife biologist at Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. He said our business would have a minimal impact on wildlife near our site. He also suggested an EQIP program. That's a grant that pays businesses to protect the habitat, and of course we wanted to do that. We also done a soil and water analysis with the help of our biology teacher, Shalay Wagner, and she said the soil was slightly acidic at the surface, but it increased with depth. So like it was very common in reclaimed mine sites. And the water had no pesticides, nitrates, or fecal coliform, so it's just like any other eastern Kentucky stream.
This is where our business will be located. It'll be right in this circle there. We believe that in order to improve the Appalachian, it will need to be a grassroots effort. It needs to start with us and teach us the importance of it. I also want to point out the quality of the bridge at this site. I mean, like I said before, it just needs a good leaf blow and pressure wash to it. And it's right along, you can see Route 632, which is the main road in Phelps.
When going about our business financially, we decided to consult with Mr. Brett Keene, who is the president of Community Trust Bank, and Miss Sherry Dotson, who's the senior marketing lender. And after giving them all of our calculations for all of our assets and whatnot, they decided, or advised us rather, to apply for a small business loan of $250,000. On screen, you can see what our major expenses would be as per quoted by a professional contractor in our area, along with Captain John Reed of Lifeguard Ambulance Services just down the road. All of those total up to about $163,000, which would leave us with $87,000 to spend on our smaller expenditures, rather. As for our smaller expenditures, we'd use that $87,000 to supply our ambulances and pay our insurance for property or vehicle insurance or medical insurance, what would rather be, and also to pay our staff and whatnot. If you've ever dealt with a new business, you always know trying to reduce your initial startup cost is a main goal. Originally, we decided to go with 4 ambulance fleet instead of 2, but after consulting with Captain John Reed, he advised us that we would only need 2, which would be a BLS and ALS, or a basic life support and advanced life support. All in all, that move there saved us nearly $200,000, but furthermore, we decided instead of buying brand new ambulances, get low mileage used, which saved us another $85,000. And as of now, we have no plans for expansion, but we do recognize that other regions around us are in the same situation that we are. And we more than likely will look into that in the near future. With the leftover money after our major and minor expenditures, we plan to have a rainy day fund, because if you've dealt with business, if there's something that can go wrong, it more than likely will. So building maintenance, vehicle maintenance, property maintenance, anything along those lines we'll be saving up for. And after all that is settled, we'd like to use the remainder of our money to start paying back on our principal on our small business loan, which we took out at a 5% interest rate for $2,000 a month for 15 years.
When we started marketing this business, we realized it was completely different than anything we've ever done. But our number one goal will be to prioritize our community and make sure that they trust us. Because without trust, this business won't succeed. Anyway, so we want to have a good social media presence, because we believe that a good comment can make you, or a bad comment can break you. The logo that you see on the screen was created using Paint Shop 3D Pro. And so think logo maker.
So is it worth the risk? As you can see, our business model is a representation of Pike County. And on that map, the lights represent the road that the ambulance has to take from Pikeville. So right here is where you're sitting. Over here is our region. Lifeguard has to leave Island Creek, hit US 23, go to 119, and go all the way over to 194 East. When it goes down, it hits Kemper intersection. Then you can split off between 632 East or 194 East. And as you can see, right in the middle of Kemper, there's 4 railroad signs. And on that, the railroad crossings are from a 2-mile radius. And I tell you, if Cole ever did pick back up, we have 2 wash plants in Kemper. And if you have a 100-car unit train there and they start crossing, if you got an ambulance coming or going from Phelps, the outcome's not going to be good. So here is our solution. So as you can see, our business is right in the middle of 632. And you really only have to cross one railroad crossing. So, change the slide, Paul. As a result, as you can see, why this service is needed, the average response time in a rural community is 15 minutes, as you heard earlier. And the average response time in Eastern Kentucky is about 45 minutes, which is on a good day. In my profession, I've waited an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours on an ambulance. Being a volunteer firefighter, I've seen it all. I've seen people's heart break because of their family members. I mean, it's a rough scene. But personally, I just went through this about 3 months ago. My mamaw took a massive heart attack, and at about 10:30 that morning, my papa called screaming to me and my mamaw, or me and my mom. And my papa was screaming and saying that my mama was dead. And when I loaded up, me and mom went down. I was mentally preparing myself to do CPR, which I'm certified in, CPR on my mama. When I got down there, thank God she was alive, but she was in bad shape. So my aunt called 911, and 911 sent us the phone call to Lifeguard. Lifeguard told us that it'd be over an hour for an ambulance to get there. I said, we ain't got time. With the amount she's going right now, she may have 15 minutes to live. So we loaded her up, and they took off. Lifeguard also said that they would meet us at L&M intersection, which is right there, right in the middle of Kemper. We got there, no ambulance. So we kept going. We got to Kellogg's. That's when we finally met the ambulance. So I just tell you, I'm just going to ask you all, if it was your family member or if it was your loved one, is it worth the risk? Thank you all. You have a good day.
Hello, my name is Scott Love, and first I want to thank you all for a great presentation. You guys definitely prepared yourselves well, and you had a great presentation. Just one quick question. I'm just curious. You referenced the SOL goal number 4 of healthy communities. What other ancillary services might you offer out of your ambulance service to meet that need or reach that goal for the community? Ambulance services is obvious, but in between runs, what else might you be able to do to bring value to the community?
Okay, so I've been around first responders a lot, and every time that I'm out, I always see an ambulance talking to people, asking how they're doing. So with healthy communities, SOAR goal number 4, we really want to get out and talk to our communities and ask how they're doing. And we want to get really involved in the high school and do some, presentations of, basic CPR and first aid that they could do while we are getting there. If you want to add.
Yeah, sort of like almost like elective classes in high school. Start teaching more basic health classes, advanced health classes, further our generation in their abilities.
It's also a common thing. We have a nursing home right in our community, and they're always having to do runs to the doctor and to other hospitals. So our ambulance service would be a direct link to our nursing home, because when we met with Lifeguard, they said they do have to come to Phelps quite often just to deal with nursing home patients and taking care of them and transporting them where they need to go.
And on that note, the nursing home, there's a lot. When you got these runs coming from Pikeville, Lifeguard has already got trucks going to Floyd County and all that. If we put this business in, it would help them dramatically. Getting patients to and from the hospital, going on emergency calls, which will take off a burden off of them.
So in accordance, instead of just helping our community, would be helping out our entire region as a whole.
I was gonna say, y'all can move your mask whenever you're talking.
I have a question about finances. You talked about a $250,000 loan. How long would it take you to pay that off and to become self-sufficient?
We were quoted at a 5% interest rate at $2,000 a month for 15 years.
So in 15 years, you would
Yes, sir.
break even? And would this be a nonprofit organ or a for-profit?
Towards the beginning, we're working back to make even, but which would be relatively quick because through private insurance, I don't mean to make y'all feel bad or nothing, but they do make a pretty decent amount. But towards the beginning, we're working back to get all of our debts paid off, and then after that, it would be working more towards a profit organization,
We do realize that this type of thing, that there will be a profit, but it's more, there isn't a big amount of profit. It's enough to where you won't be sitting on a big house on the side of a hill, but you will be, it makes up for it because you're helping your community with it.
And you're connected with the fire protection. Would there be an alliance with fire in this region, and is there a fire unit that could be part of this?
Whenever there's like a emergency call, like an EMS call, if you have somebody having a heart attack or anything, we usually respond first. So we go ahead and get there and go ahead and assess the patient, start doing whatever is needed, and when the ambulance gets there, we load them up, we send them. Because in some situations, time is essence. Like, I was referring back to my mama, she only, when she got to the hospital, she said they said that she was lucky to be alive. So yes, there would be an alliance between the fire departments and our ambulance service, because, you know, everybody needs to work together when it comes to saving somebody's life.
And there is a volunteer fire department in both Phelps and Kemper, and I know that Kemper, y'all have several qualified EMTs right now.
We have over, I don't want to lie to you, I think we have over 6 EMTs that is certified and is on our department. And when we go on EMS calls, they are usually the ones that go and the help. Some of them ride, even if the call is bad enough, they usually go with them.
I have a little question for you. Have you looked at a subscriber's fee for this to give a reduced rate so you get a lot of subscribers and an increased rate if they don't subscribe? That's something that's in our area.
To be honest, we haven't, but that kind of opened up a new mindset, I guess. We'd never heard of that.
The other thing, working in the mining industry, every mine site we had chopper landing locations. I don't know what they have in this area, but in our area, we do have a chopper within, I don't know, 30 minutes. And we've landed them in our backyard already to pull people out instead of going to the local hospital, just ship them to UK or UT.
I'm glad you bring that up. Usually when we call for a helicopter in the fire department, they come from Prestonsburg. In our location, we have 2 LZs, landing zones. One is at actually about 2/10 of a mile from our proposed site, and then the other one is at Kemper Elementary School. But with this site, we planned to put a helipad right beside of our location because the owner actually told us, he said that they landed helicopters right there in that parking lot that we proposed. So
If you just give us 1 second, we'll pull it up on the photos.
Yeah, because it has a great access road right to it, if I can.
I'm sure they had a landing site because it's a mine, because you always have landing sites at the
Yeah.
mine. We had one at each of our individual mine sites.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, we have this open road here, and then you have this whole area for one, and then this area here. So we had planned, right now, like he said, they do have areas to do one, and it would be, yeah.
All right, how are y'all doing? Good, awesome. Well, I've got a few questions for you, and I have to preface it by saying it's because when your business plan arrived at my home, you know, I was blown away that this is even a problem, because it shouldn't be, right? And so kudos to you for hitting a nail on the head, because this is unacceptable, right? And I think that's the passion that we're seeing from you today, because this shouldn't happen. It certainly shouldn't happen to any Kentuckian. So with that in mind, the first question I have for you is, have you had a discussion with the judge executive of this county yet about this issue?
We haven't had the opportunity, but I know several of us know him. So it's a possibility we could easily set up a meeting with him and talk with him. And we have in the past projects, we've had a conversation with him, but we haven't been able to do one for this one specific yet.
I want to elaborate on what she said. When my mama took that heart attack, my papa and my mother are still going to go to a physical court meeting and tell why we need this ambulance service, because it is a really needed thing in our community. Because I hate to say it, but there's been a lot of people pass away because we just waited too long. And, you know, it's home to us. And I've grown up there for 18 years, and I'll probably die there. And I'd hate to see more people suffer from what is going on.
You're absolutely right. I found an article from October of 2020, which was discussing a meeting at the Pike County Fiscal Court. So I think the judge executive is aware of this situation. So my first recommendation to you would be to meet with him and share your idea with him, because I think he's looking for a solution as much as you are based on this article. The next question I have for you, so is the current certificate of need holder lifeguard emergency medical services?
Yes.
Is that currently who operates the ambulance service?
There's two ambulance services. There is Appalachian First Response, which really isn't in our area a lot. They're more of like Belfry and Sydney and them places. And Lifeguard has a is really our ambulance service. And where we have the nursing home, lifeguard usually takes over and goes on.
Okay, and so that would just, another question I would encourage you to research or find or an answer for would be whether or not you can have 2 certificate of needs for a single county. I don't know if you can, but that's something that you'd want to figure out, because otherwise you'd have to work really, really closely with lifeguard on this solution. Is there already an ambulance station in Kemper?
Previously they was, but they moved out years ago for family issues.
Yeah.
And since then, no, our closest one's been right down the road from here.
About 5 miles that way.
So regardless, you would need probably a new one anyway, is what you're saying. Is
Yeah.
even if there were one there, it probably needs some work
Updating,
done on it.
yeah.
Yeah. What do y'all want to do when you, well, I hate to say when you grow up because you're about grown, but what do you want to do, you know?
I really want to help my community out
Yeah.
because my community has suffered way too much.
Yeah.
With this situation, it's just been, I mean, heartbreaking. Because I mean, I've been to several people's houses working on people, and I mean, they're just crying. I mean, can you do any more? And I'm like, all we can do is what we're trained to do. And they ask like, where's the ambulance? I say, it's on its way. It's coming from Pikeville. And people actually get mad because it's really far away in a sense that you're going from Pikeville to Phelps to get somebody, then you have to drive all the way back to Pikeville. So we're trying to propose this business so you're already close to Phelps. All you have to do is go, and then you're on your way to Pikeville.
Yeah, most people don't realize, I mean, there's a difference of ambulance being 45 minutes away coming to
Yeah.
you, but they forget that you gotta go 45 minutes back.
Yep.
So it's, or it's, you know, it's kind of a hit here going straight there. Or if, even better, if we have any calls west, that's a straight shot to the Pikeville Medical Center.
Very good points.
One of the things I want to do is teach, because we've seen firsthand our high school lacks teachers. Last year, I think I had majority of full-time subs. And people don't want to stay in our area because we don't have proper access to health care. We don't have the roads, I think he mentioned.
The road from 194 all the way to 632 from Pikeville to Phelps is, according to the Kentucky Department of Transportation, is ranked one of the deadliest roads in Kentucky.
Yeah. A lot of people view our community as no reason to stay. So I want to teach and try to just directly improve our school system, the kids, and give them a reason to want to stay.
Because you know, it really gets tough when people say we're leaving because there's no work, we're leaving because there's no education, we're leaving because there's no health care, and there's no ambulances or anything. Like he said, the ambulance service that was in a while back left. My dad used to work for him. My dad used to drive an ambulance for him, and they left because when coal went out, there went the businesses, and they had to move on and go to other places and start their own start their life again. So.
Well, the change starts with you, right? I mean, that's why I think seeing how passionate you are about your home and this idea and solving this problem, I think that you're going to change that cycle, and you can. Because every part of Kentucky deserves the same amount of respect, regardless if it's Lexington, Louisville, it doesn't matter. And so when this came across my desk, I want you to know that it really struck me. And so what I would love to do, are you all 9th through 11th, 9th through 12th?
We're all seniors.
You're all seniors? Well, this would be an exception. You know, usually we don't allow seniors into the Governor's School for Entrepreneurs. But what I would love to do is offer you all a spot this summer at GSC. And so GSC is a 3-week summer experience. It's absolutely free. You'd spend 3 weeks with us at NKU, and we tackle problems just like this one. And so what that would do for you is, one, it would give you a unique access to some of Kentucky's most leading thinkers, I guess, if you want to think of them that way. I don't want to categorize them just as entrepreneurs. But you'd get to meet with them and learn from them, and then bring that back here to your home. And alongside that, GSE offers around $6 million each year of scholarship opportunities. And so I'm sure that we could take care of tuition for you at probably one of your top selections. So I'd love to offer that to each of you today, because I've been so blown away by your work.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I've got another question for you. You mentioned that you're going to buy used equipment, used ambulances,
Yes,
and
sir.
I appreciate that, and that's a good strategy to lower your operating costs. But my question is, what's the useful life of those two that you have, and then what's your replacement strategy?
Most of the used ambulances, they're rated for up to, I'm sure if you can find one market, they're up to 350,000 miles. I believe one of them that we looked at only had like 19,000 miles, and it was 50,000, something along that line. The other one had 40,000 miles. So the plan is to use those out as long as we can until we can build up enough funds to further replace them with a newer type ambulance machine.
Most of these trucks last a pretty good while, and the equipment with it lasts a decent amount, but when you go back to buy the equipment, sometimes you can buy refurbished stuff, but when you start with a business, you want to buy used, and then when you get a little bit going, you want to start buying newer things and
Like we
upgrading your
mentioned
business.
earlier about expansion, is we have no plans for expansion because expansion looks so different. We don't know what it will be. It could be open up a new service, but it could be as simple as just buying new equipment, buying new vehicles. And that's kind of how we looked at our expansion. It just depends on how it looks for us in that time frame.
Do you plan to have like fueling and maintenance facilities on site, or how does that work with an
In-
ambulance service?
Like, we usually, and I know that they do too, they usually work
I'm sorry.
at their
I hate to do
places.
this work for anything, but actually we gave you an extra minute and a half that was left over that you didn't use first. So we got to be fine. You got 15 minutes to talk about the model. Now, if y'all want to ask other questions about the model, that's it. But you got 15 more minutes that's really dedicated to scoring the model.
Okay.
There is an award for that, so you don't want to just skim over that. Okay? I really hate to mess that up.
Oh, you're fine. Any questions about the model?
Like we said on our newer one, it's our main concentrated coverage area opposed to what they have to try to cover. On average, 45 minutes.
And if,
Oh,
on this model, it would be cut in half on what that was.
Somewhere.
I
Yeah, I believe
think,
from to the
Go
main
ahead,
to
pull
like to like the main closest town, I believe it's like 10 minutes. That's to like the nursing home and
from our location right here to Phelps is about 10 minutes, besides of 45.
one way anyway. 45 minutes one way.
Go back.
Here's how it would be with our service. So we can use it compared to
here we
these
go.
ones. Oh, y'all shoot the model.
Yeah, that's fine.
On this, your hours and your mileage, this is to Pawpaw, which is right around Phelps. 47 miles is an hour and 5 minutes. On that one, let me see that one. It's about 20,
It's 24 minutes.
So
24 minutes.
So basically cut a third of the time almost.
And on our longest one is actually Woodman,
Which is the
48
main,
miles, which is an hour and 10 minutes. And
With-
that one.
Yeah, with our service, it would be 32 minutes. And right now, Jordan's seen it firsthand. A lot of times when you call for an ambulance, 45 minutes is best case scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear stories common where it's upwards of 2 hours.
I have waited on an ambulance for 2 hours before. And waiting 2 hours for an ambulance, that is a long time.
and another one of the reasons for like the long times is most of the drivers from over here, they're not experienced with that area. So that's why we kind of wanted to have homegrown drivers. I mean, they know the roads. They can cut them times down even more.
I have a question about the population base that this would serve. Let's say a very harsh or difficult investor might say, I don't know if you have a sufficient population base to actually maintain an ambulance service, especially in an area with a declining population? How would you answer that?
I'm gonna go first. Every day, I see ambulances in Phelps all the time. Lights going to Pikeville or coming from Pikeville to get somebody. With the area that we're covering, I believe we could withstand our business taking off.
Also, when we met with Lifeguard, he said they're in the Phelps area, like I think it's 5 to 6 times a day. Like it's often, he said a lot of times I'll get back from a run and have to go right back. And with the declining population, we're trying to stop the declining of our population. We want it to stay increasing or best consistent because we don't want it to be decreasing anymore. We want people to stay.
Yeah, because most of the time, people say they move to Pikeville for job or economic opportunity, but most people, they don't care about the drive. They see the health care as being one of the major issues present.
I just want to piggyback on Judge Ron's question. And Jordan, this is directed to you. I think you said your dad drove for the previous company.
Yes.
What did you glean from him or some of those issues of why they had to close? And then the second question is, given this scenario, what's your exit strategy?
So my dad, he drove for this ambulance service where he used to be a firefighter like I am right now. He said when the population started to leave and this woman, her name is Ann Priest, she owned the ambulance service and she said that she could not go and she could not stay here because her boys had to have education, they had to have, and they just got up and left. And with the last question, the exit strategy. You want to do that one? Can you repeat that question one more time?
And so to Ron's point, he talked about the declining population, chance then that revenues are going to start to decline, and the business model that you started with could really greatly change. And so exit strategy is how do you unwind this business and move on? Because it's just as important to know how to get in, but sometimes if things don't work out, how do you get out of that business? How do you make yourself whole? How do you make the bank whole?
I was thinking we would open up the opportunity to be bought out by a bigger ambulance service that's like maybe nationwide. They would have the funds to back it up and just kind of step in instead of being a privately owned company, being a national or like a bigger company having ownership.
Lifeguard, the ambulance service here, was bought out by AMR, American Medical Response, something like that. And they actually own a lot of ambulance services across the nation. So if we can have somebody like that buy us out and they can withstand the economic impact because, these big businesses, they got a lot of money and they can withstand some drop in the economy and they can hold about pretty much anything.
Now remember that we need to ask some questions about the model. Don't forget the model, okay? We're on the model time.
I just wanted to make one short comment for everybody in here. Part of this is a fallout from what happened to the coal industry, because the coal industry had to have ambulances within a very close range, and the coal industry subsidized these ambulance services to keep them in that area. So it's a very difficult situation.
Yeah, we've actually, right now, we've got, I'd say in our coverage area, 3, 4, 5 tipples.
So I know Kemper's got 2, 3 tipples itself.
And in the Phelps area, they've been long talks about putting in a deep mine already. That's been in the works for years.
We actually have a deep mine that's ongoing right now in Pawpaw. And if you have an ambulance coming from, Island Creek, that's going to take a while for a miner that's got hurt real bad. I mean, some of the outcomes is not going to be good if, we keep waiting this long.
And then right now in Feds Creek, is it still Tico's or Apex?
I know that.
Apex, ain't it?
I know over at Woodman, they have an Apex job still going, and up at the 3-lane, right close to our school, they have a ongoing mine.
But yeah, we have seen a drastic drop to what it used to be, and like he said, that's the reason that, you know, led to the demise of the ambulance service in Phelps is because of coal. And that is, like, our community was a coal community. There's no other words for it. Everyone here I know knows at least one person or one family member who is in the coal industry. And so, yeah, it's took a big impact to it.
So, a question. So, from your photos, it looks like it's a very nice site, looks relatively clean. I know one of the things that we look at is correction to any environmental deficits. Did you encounter any deficits? Okay, you didn't, okay. So, go ahead, you were going to say something.
Say, no, like, we didn't encounter any, but, like, if any, it was caused by, like, the building, like, the actual labor of the building. Like Caleb said, we had that equip grant coming in to help restore that environment.
Yeah, and like the hard top going around, it's like a perfect circle. And it's just, it looks like it was paved recently. Like, it's really, really good quality. And the bridge is like, I don't know, it looks like the day it was built other than just being tender love and care. I mean, it's good quality.
Remind me again how large your site is?
The building itself was a 40 by 40.
No, the entire site.
Oh, the entire site? Did we get I'd say roughly, what'd you say?
Take a guess, I won't know.
Huh?
150 by 150,
I don't know. I'd say probably 40 acres.
So
50
my
acres.
question is, you won't utilize all that space.
No,
So do you have plans to improve some of that space for the benefit of the community?
Yes.
Tell us about those plans.
Okay, so wherever the building is built and the helipad is built, we really want to go in and make a good landscaping plate like around we really want to get the community involved too. So we may even put a playground in. We don't know. I mean, you know, you just got to go with the business and see where it goes, and who knows? You mean, it could be a community attraction. All I know, I mean, you could put a playground in. You could put like a little gazebo in, like here in Pikeville, and have some people come over for birthday parties, and I mean, you're right there.
Yeah, like most of the volunteer fire departments, they kind of double as almost like a community center. So maybe adding in a little space for that.
We had briefly talked about, it was towards the beginning of this whole process, that I think it was the day we went and looked at the site. The area beside of it is like a big open area. It could be used as something as anything as training for the fire department, because I know y'all had to go through extensive training to be a firefighter paramedic training. So that could be a possibility. In expansion would be maybe putting in a small, simple training facility there.
I was curious if the site has internet access.
No, we actually talked to a contractor, and he told us that he would put in the expenses of putting electric, like running power lines and gas lines, and there's actually a gas line that really goes by the site in Kemper, and the water line, he told us it wasn't 1,600. I don't know the actual number because he messes with all the numbers, but the contractor actually told us that he would put all that stuff into our final expense.
But no, internet hookup wouldn't be hard at all. There's houses in the real nearby area, so hooking up to Intermountain cable wire, it wouldn't be difficult at all.
Would the site also be, it seems your community involvement, but what about entrepreneurship? Could this community center maybe also be a center for entrepreneurship to encourage young people like you to start their own businesses?
Of course, that would be an amazing. We don't have anything right now in our community, so that would be a great way to establish it. And we'd also talked about once before is we want it to be. Our community right now don't have the opportunity to be paramedics and EMTs because of the location being so far away. So that would also open up the career possibility to people in our community who want to stay close. Because a paramedic or EMT, if they work for lifeguard, they're not going to want to come home from Phelps after being on runs all day. They're going to want to stay in Pikeville near that. So it would open up that specific job opportunity.
And to elaborate on what she said, Captain John Reed at Lifeguard, he actually told us, he said, I'm here about 90 hours a week, possibly more. He said he's been up here, he's been at their station over here at Island Creek for over 100 hours a week. I said, man, how do you go home and see your kids and stuff? He says, well, if my kids have presents under the tree and food on the table, no matter what, I'll stay as long as I have to. So we really don't want people driving home from this location, which is 45 minutes away, on just 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep in 2 days, 3 days. I mean, because when you're going on runs, it's run after run after run after run, and you might have to go to Cleveland. You might have to go to. We actually have a friend that works for him. He actually had to go to Florida and take an old lady home, and they actually had to stay down there. So.
We got a minute and 50 seconds.
All entrepreneurs have doubts. What are your doubts about this initiative?
My doubts would be the economy. Like, I mean, you have a risk with any business, and that would be the risk of, could we keep this in service long enough to benefit it? The risk is worth it. It's willing to take it to see it survive because it's such a big need. But you also have the doubt in the back of your mind, how long will this survive? Will it survive? Staffing, like, it's, even though it opens up possibilities, will they want to do it? And it's all those, like, small doubts that it's worth the risk, but they're still there.
Big doubt for mine is probably outside support. I mean, you know, our community and area, they're going to be all behind this, but other big business leaders that they see this as competition rather than helping the community as a whole.
My doubt is, you know, every business person that starts up a business at first has their doubts on, is it going to work? And I hope this works, and I think it'll work. But my biggest doubts, like he said, is these big businesses going to go with us on this, and I know our community is going to be behind us. And
But it's rather than trying to get economic support, but rather humanitarian support.
All right, we're here with Phelps High School, going to learn more about their idea. So tell us how you came up with your idea.
We've been in this program for the past 2 years, so we were kind of brainstorming a little bit ahead of time. And Jordan here is on the volunteer fire department, so he's seen the need for an ambulance service firsthand. And he kind of just brought up the idea about how we all knew we needed it, but, you know, he's seeing the need. And we all kind of started looking into it and started researching it, and it just kind of sprouted from that.
Me just go ahead and elaborate. Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm on the Kemper Volunteer Fire Department, and I've been to several calls where we've been having to wait extensive amount of time on the ambulance coming from Island Creek, and I just felt like it needed to be burned up, and you know, we start this project and maybe it'll take off somewhere and we get help around our community.
So you came up with this concept. It's a great idea. You've identified a problem. So how are you going to continue to pursue this idea and turn it into a real business?
Yeah, I'll take it.
In Phelps, you know, health has always been a big issue, especially in the past few years. So I figure we'll have a lot of community support behind it, a lot of regional support behind it, and hopefully even more outside of state support behind it. And it should eventually continue into being a prosperous business if somebody actually take our idea and run with it.
The judges had brought up a really good point, is bringing it to our county judge. And he's, has ties to Phelps and knows most of the population in Phelps kind of on a personal level. So I feel like he would be really into the idea. And we know of like his mom and a few of his family members and their family members are going to actually go to the fiscal court meeting and bring up the need. So I believe that would be a good place to at least start.
So I saw you all built a physical model for this presentation as well. So tell me a little bit about the physical model, how you built it, and then kind of who helped you in the process.
We actually built the model out of plywood, and we cut it out. We went on the internet, and we got a shot of Pike County, and we cut it. We cut it out and put it on the board, and we traced it out in the Pike County. And we actually took and got it cut out, and we put some paper, like green paper down, and we traced all the roads ourselves. We put all the other stuff on ourselves. I mean, it's just we put all the lights on to represent the roads that we have to take and they have to take, and the model really stands out with how far they actually have to come from Pikeville, and it shows a really big need.
And is this model something that you'll take to some of the municipals that were mentioned, the judge executive and maybe potential investors? Is that how you'll potentially use the model?
Oh, absolutely. The model really shows our need and shows the current situation we have with like all the mileages and the hours that it takes. And I mean, one spot on our model, they call it Woodman, Kentucky. It's about an hour and 10 minutes from Pikeville, about 50 some miles. I wouldn't say 50, I'd say 47, 50 some miles in some spots. And that model really shows in a better way than just talking, and just imagine it. You actually get to see it firsthand.
Do you want to go?
We actually chose to focus more on like the routes and stuff on our model than the building, because at first it was like, well, we'll just do the outline of our building and show what it's going to look like. But then when we got looking, we're like, it's more important to understand why we're doing it than what the building's going to look like, because the building really doesn't matter. It's just the location and why we're doing it.
And so how long have you all been working on this project, and where does it go from here?
Of course, after last year's competition, thought for next year's, if we got invited, was immediately into play. And we just kind of kept, I'd say about August, September, and there we really started, once we got a confirmation that we were back invited, and there we started hitting at it again. And once we got our idea and we all kind of agreed that it was a really good idea, we just shot off with it from there. We was instantly gathering information and data, visiting and interviewing people. It was a really cool experience, and hopefully future generations behind us can keep it going.
Is there any last comments that you guys want to say for the video?
I'm good.
Well, congratulations, you all. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
All right, we're here with Patrick Lester, one of the coaches for the Phelps High School team. So I'm sure you feel a lot of pride as an educator seeing this idea to sort of start from the concept phase and into a model, and then now today is pitch day. So tell us how you feel and what are some ways that you've helped along the way?
Well, I feel great. My kids, when you see kids come up, they came up with the idea. It was something that I know is a need. But seeing them and seeing how they took it and ran with it, and knowing that everything they said as an adult, I know is true. I know what a need it is, and I know where we live, and I feel the way they do. I feel like it's home. It has been home, and yeah, someday I may move, but I want to see the best for these people. And it gives you a lot of faith in today's youth to see not just Phelps, to see these other schools. And I give a shout out to John Justice and Cedar and SOAR for what they've done. I said this is the best partnership ever, because John is one class individual. Mm-hmm. He is one good guy, and this program is going to be great in the future with him.
So after today's pitch, we're still waiting on the awards presentation to see who's going to win, but what's next?
honestly, I would like to see this come to reality. I would like to see the project that they came up with be physically built and to help our people. And I think it could very well happen after what I've seen today and the reactions that I've seen. My fingers are crossed.
So tell us a little bit about the process of them building the physical model. Did the kids kind of come up with that themselves, or did you help in that way? Or
Okay, well, actually, we had a Zoom call. Imagine that, a Zoom call. We had a Zoom call with Cedar and John Justice and Tracy Tackett, and they said, you need something, that's going to be, do you want to do physical or virtual? And I thought, a model of Pike County, cut out Pike County. So actually my dad helped cut out, jigsaw the two sections of Pike County, or the two representations of Pike County. And the kids just ran with it. They used Google Earth and covered the models in, the right, they projected it, they mapped it out and did all that, and then we got fairy lights at Hobby Lobby to show the distance between Phelps and Pikeville and so forth. So
I thought the lights were really cool. Good addition.
And it was just like this guy at Hobby Lobby says, I think I have exactly what you need, and I never go in that store hardly, but he was spot on. It really helped.
That's great. So this model, would you use this to show some of the judge executives and municipals and physically be able to show them that this is sort of an idea that really could be pursued?
Absolutely. I think the thing about our model where we did two, like I said, we did it how it is now and how it could be. So it's like a before and after type thing, and I think it'll give them some perspective, because anyone that knows anything about Pike County knows it's massive. I mean, you're talking about a county that rivals Rhode Island, I think it does that. If it does nothing else, it does show how far it goes to the east and stuff. So,
Any last comments?
No, I just appreciate you guys for everything, for the coverage, and like I said, Cedar and Soar. It's an honor for me to work with those people. They're class people, and I just hope we can help them like they help us.
Really appreciate it, Patrick. Really well done. That was a great presentation. You could tell that they were coached very well, so great job.
That's my kids. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.